Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cop Ultras of Podcast Show. I'm your host, Poovan, and I am back with another episode for you guys. So, first and foremost, I would like to extend you guys, please accept my humble apologies. I wasn't able to uh, record my match review of Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Yes, we won the game 3-1, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a review video of that particular match. As it is, I do have a few commitments that I had to run into. With that being said, I'll be covering a few topics today. Definitely, I would like to cover just a little bit about last week's match against Bournemouth, and we won 3-1. Definitely, I'll be just doing a small coverage of that, just a small review. And then I'll be jumping into all our transfer news, our current transfer news, since we have 10 days left to go in the transfer window. And then we'll be looking forward towards our next Premier League matchup against Newcastle United. So with that being said, let's get started. Plenty has happened over the weekend. Let's start off with just a small review and a small recap as to what happened with our match against Bournemouth last week on Saturday. It was a very chaotic matchup, to be honest and to be fair. A chaotic first few minutes. Just trying to go into the few timelines of what happened. It was very, very chaotic. Everything else happened. 1-0 happened. Semenyo, I think it was Bournemouth's midfielder. He scored the goal in the first few minutes of the matchup as it began, and then we were trailing 1-0. And then as the match went on, I think at about the 28th minute, we saw Luis Diaz score an absolute stunning goal. He got a cross from, if I am not mistaken, I think it could be Soboslai or Mo Salah. I think it would be Jota, who got a cross in. Diaz controlled the ball, lifted up towards his chest, and he gave a little bicycle kick, an overhead kick, and then we went on to draw the game 1-1. And as the match went on, we started to pile up the pressure towards Bournemouth, and Bournemouth as well. They tried to pile up the pressure towards us. They were absolutely resilient. They were bullying our midfield constantly. Especially the player that I mentioned earlier, which was Semenyo and Dominic Solanke as well. There were a couple of few other players as well who were absolutely trying to take a piece out of us. And, like I mentioned in my preview show, before the match, I did expect Bournemouth to play in a very physical manner against us. It did happen in that way, and it actually cost us a goal as well. I think due to a lack of communication and lack of concentration between Konate and Trent as well. I think I don't want to put blame on any players, but then as far as that goal went in, Semenyo's goal, I think it was a result of poor clearance of the ball from the defensive line all the way up to the attacking line. So I think the passing is a little bit, not only a little bit, I think it was very chaotic to a point. It was very, very rushed. Players weren't grounded on their feet when they were with the ball during the passing, so everything happened. Luis Diaz scored the equalizer, and then we had a penalty from a foul by Bournemouth defender on Soboslai, and then as usual, Mo Salah would have taken the responsibility to convert the penalty, but there's a first for everything, and I think Mo Salah missed his penalty, but he scored the rebound, and then we were leading 2-1. But then as the match went on, I think it was very, very physical. It was very, very end-to-end stuff. There was a lot of end-to-end stuff going on, particularly in the midfield area and in the attacking area. I felt that in the overall matchup, I felt that Konate and Van Dijk did very, very well in the back line. They tried their level best to not put a lot of foot wrong in their contest against the strikers and the midfielders of Bournemouth. Credit is given where credit is due. The defense did play well. But as far as our left backs and right back Robbo and Trent are concerned, I think Robbo did particularly well in this matchup. He did get caught out a few times when he was attacking, but I think in the overall 90 minutes, I think Robertson did fairly well. Trent did fairly well as well. I think as the match went on, he got subbed off later on. I think around the range of 70 to 75 minutes, he got subbed off due to a knock that he had on his heel while trying to attempt a pass. So he had to put some ice packs on his legs. So coming back to before the whole incident about Trent getting injured, and also I was speaking about the whole red card situation with McAllister. We before scoring the goal, we were leading 2-1. Bournemouth had a few chances where they could have drawn the game at that point. They could have equalized at any point in time in the second half. And then we had an attacking opportunity in the Bournemouth penalty area. It didn't go well. And then one of Bournemouth's midfielders were taking the ball and trying to progressively move forward from the back line towards the midfield area. And he had a collision with he had a foot-on-foot collision with Alexis McAllister. So that's where the whole red card situation comes in. So, this whole red card situation, yes, I would like to also update as well that it got overturned. But the whole build-up to the whole situation as to how McAllister got the red card is absolutely baffling to me. Because there is VAR. There is a video assistant referee in the football matches, and it's been officiated by not only one referee, not two, not three, but you have a whole host of referees. I think you have about 4 or 5 of them sitting in a room, looking at thousands of cameras, looking at the match, trying to review play by play if there is any decisions that the referee has made that needs to be overturned or which has been overlooked, that the referee has to take a look at the monitor in order to decide for himself whether if the player should be booked or if the player should be sent off. And in my position and in my bloody opinion, I felt that the tackle that was done by Alexis McAllister did not earn him a red card. It could have been a yellow card. It would have just been a yellow card. Because I understand foot on foot, I understand the studs are showing, but the studs are not showing very high up and it's a bit lower. So as far as I'm concerned, if that tackle happened when for the likes of Jamie Carragher or Steven Gerrard or any of the other legends who were playing in the yesteryears, if they were to make a tackle like that and a player would fall down, the referee would have asked him to get up, because even if the foul was given, it would have been a warning or it would have been a booking. It would have been a yellow card. So it would have been a red card. And in my opinion, I watched the whole match with my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law said the cards are showing. So apparently they were going to give a red card, and to be told it happened, and McAllister got sent off. But in my honest opinion, I don't think it's a yellow card at all. I don't even think of it at all. I don't think it's a yellow card at all. So, with that being said, the match went on without Alexis McAllister. We were down 10 men. He didn't have a starting defensive midfielder at that point, and to our credit, we were able to secure the transfer of Wataru Endo, which I have already spoken about this in my previous episodes and videos. So Wataru Endo, at that on that particular home game, he was available for selection, and they selected him to be on the bench. So the whole situation with this Alexis McAllister's red card, and the whole situation with the team being playing with 10 men, Klopp decided that it's high time that he brought in an experienced player, an experienced defensive midfielder like Wataru Endo, and he ended up playing for the next 30 odd minutes of the match. So yes, I was very happy to see Wataru Endo debuting for us, and especially in a home game, in his first game. I think last week we secured the transfer on Friday. He got to play on Saturday. He got his international clearance on Saturday on midday. He was selected for the team. He travelled with the team to Anfield, and getting a debut, it's a top of dreams, especially for someone who, like Wataru Endo, who has dreamed of playing in the Premier League. So credit to him, he did well. Never really put a foot wrong, and I don't expect him to perform at the highest level because he's still yet to be fully trained with the squad, haven't yet fully been immersed into the system, into Klopp's play style and the Klopp's system, Klopp's offense, defense, everything. So in that whole context of us beating Bournemouth, I think Endo's debut was high time that we saw a defensive midfielder playing in a defensive midfield position. So Klopp gave him the debut. He played well, never put a foot wrong. Kind of like he played more of a James Milner role in the build-up towards the end of the match. But once Endo came in, I think a few minutes before Endo came in, after McAllister was sent off, then Jota was able to tap in another goal, our third goal, from a shot which was taken by Dominic Szoboszlai, and it got deflected and saved by the keeper, but Jota was on hand to poach the goal, and we were able to win the game 3-1 after that, after making a few substitutions and yada yada yada, and we won the match. So pretty chaotic first two games of the season, more chaotic games to come. Definitely the 3 points is much needed. I think in terms of looking at the whole beginning, it's just the beginning of the season, and you've just started 2 games, you've just played 2 games, and to get 4 points out of 6, I think is a good return in terms of points being gathered. Looking back at it towards the end of the season, I think in the first 2 games for you to achieve 4 points out of 6 is still okay. It's still an okay season. For me, man of the match, I think I posted on my social media as well. I said that Dominic Szoboszlai absolutely dominated the matchup. He was what a talent. What a talent the Hungarian is. Definitely looking forward to see him playing more games for us and performing at the highest level. An absolute baller. I think the red card gave him a bit more of a juice, and it gave a little bit more of maybe more of a threat rather than us pegging back, because towards the end of the match and before we scored our third goal, I think we were absolutely dominating in midfield. True enough, Trent played the inverted right back role. He played in the midfield while waiting for Endo to come on, and I think in terms of that, the whole mentality of the team absolutely changed, which was absolutely necessary, and I think it was a good response in terms of the whole red card situation and this whole VAR debacle that's been happening of late. So a very good mentality being shown by the team as to trying to push for another goal and trying to get another goal despite being 10 men down. And I think it's a good showing of the spirit of the team and the whole mentality of not giving up, even though we have been leading 2-1. So we sealed off the game in fantastic fashion. Like I said earlier, the man of the match, I had posted that Dominic Szoboszlai was the man of the match. The man was a pure magician. A couple of stats that I had to look at, which was very, very eye-catching for me, looking at Dominic Szoboszlai, was he had the most dribbles completed. He had 3 dribbles completed. He has the most passes completed, about 65 passes. He won 5 duels. He had 4 long balls, 5 recoveries, won a penalty in the first half, and also a shot. He had 1 shot that led to a goal. So he was involved in 2 goals for us, especially the first one as well. He was bossing the midfield at that time. Even in the second goal, he was bossing the midfield, and he was part of the reason where we got the second goal and got the lead as well. So, a brilliant start to life for Dominic Szoboszlai in Liverpool colours. Definitely, looking forward to see what more he has to offer. So, not the finished article yet, but we know this guy is an absolute baller and he can be a fantastic player for us. And the number 8 suits him as well. So, with that being said, I've done with the whole recap of Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Then let's jump into transfer news. So, a lot of hearsay, a lot of he said that, this journal said that, a lot of Klopp said that, Klopp targeted this player. So with all that being jumbled up, I just want to give you guys just a short update as to what's happening in terms of transfer news. Yes, we have purchased we've signed not purchased, signed Wataru Endo from Stuttgart. We have also signed Alexis McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai, and I think most of the fans would be thinking, who's next? Apparently Liverpool are looking at another midfielder, a bunch of midfielders, a whole host of midfielders. We are also looking at Andre, a midfielder playing for Fluminense. He's currently involved in the Copa Libertadores. Fluminense apparently have qualified to the quarterfinal. So, as per what Andre has mentioned to the press, he said he is 100% focused on Fluminense and Fluminense's progress to the Copa Libertadores, which is fair to him. But I feel that, for me personally, I feel that every player, every footballer says that when they are being linked to a big club, what you tend to do is you say that the first thing you would do is you would thank the club for noticing him as a target. He would actually thank the club for noticing him as a target and being an invaluable asset to the team. And then they would go on to say that, definitely I would look towards the future as to what holds for me. And then they would say that I am 100% fully focused on my current club and I'm doing all I can to bring success to the club and yada, yada, yada. So these are kind of like the most cliche dialogues that I have always heard from every other player that I've heard. So I don't know where Andre's heart is at right now, but I do feel that the prospect of coming to Liverpool and playing for Liverpool and, looking at the Brazilian players that have come through our club and played for us, for the likes of Roberto Firmino. We have Alisson. Fabinho is also a good example as well. We had Lucas Leiva, Felipe Coutinho. Definitely, not everyone is a Neymar or every other Brazilian player. But then, all I can say is every Brazilian player does have inside them that they would want to play in the Premier League, and I feel that Andre has that. And I feel that he is looking forward to playing in the Premier League. Whether be Liverpool or not, I don't know. So, with that being said, yes, definitely looking forward to another signing. Hopefully it's Andre. But as in terms of news that I can see right now, like they said that he's fully focused on, being in Fluminense right now and stuff like that. So, Liverpool have mentioned that they would like to sign the player now, this summer, instead of January. They are looking to sign him now itself, but I think recently there was also a report whereby Fluminense rejected the bid which was made by Liverpool to sign Andre. So plenty of back and forth will be going on. I'm not sure whether it is going to be another transfer saga, and hopefully it's not. But so far, Andre is the only viable midfielder that we are targeting right now. And then there is the likes of Ryan Gravenberch, who is playing for Bayern Munich. We have targeted him as well. And then with the whole Moises Caicedo, Romeo Lavia, and a bunch of other players as well. And then there was another surprise target as well. Boubacar Kamara, who is a defensive midfielder playing for Aston Villa. So he was also a surprise midfield target that Liverpool had looked into since Fabinho's sale happened about 2 months ago. So very, very surprised to hear that. But I am not surprised as well, to be fair, because we had targeted Moises Caicedo, we targeted Romeo Lavia. So who's to say that we are not able to look at potential signings like Kamara, for instance, goes from Aston Villa as well. So a bunch of players that who are being targeted by the media towards Liverpool, and you never know what happens. So it's all up to the whole transfer committee of Liverpool to decide who fits the play style of the team, who fits into the whole culture of the team, who fits into Klopp's project and ideologies in terms of playing and stuff like that. So a lot of things to look at. But my particular selection, if I were to sign one more midfielder, I think it would be Ryan Gravenberch. I think looking at his performance in the World Cup, looking at a few of the friendlies and some of his videos, that there are these bunch of compilation videos that people do when the whole transfer window starts, whereby this player moves to LFC and this player moves to Manchester United or every other football club. I had a few look at those videos. Those are hype videos, to be honest, but then watching at the way Ryan Gravenberch plays gives me a little bit of the sense that he was another Gini Wijnaldum, just that a younger Gini Wijnaldum who likes to play recovery passes, who likes to tackle as well, likes to hold the ball. Excuse me. Likes to hold the ball well. Always looks for the forward passing range. Has good feet. Has good control of the ball. He is someone that I would look at in terms of and another addition to Liverpool's midfield. But we also have to keep in mind that Liverpool do have, Jurgen Klopp does have in his hands players like Thiago. He still has Bajcetic. He still has Curtis Jones. He still has Harvey Elliott, who can still play in multiple positions, like on the wing and in midfield. So players are there, but it's entirely up to Jurgen Klopp to decide on who he sees fits the system, looking at the whole host of youngsters in terms of midfield players and those who are already in the first team, and how is he going to mix and match, and how is he going to play squad rotation and all that. So a lot of things to comprehend in order for us to understand who are we going to buy. But that is for midfielders. But in terms of defensive midfielders, there was news that Liverpool has said that they are not going to look into any other defensive midfielders as of this transfer window. They are done, and I think they have decided that Wataru Endo is the kind of player that they were looking for, and they have signed him, and they were like, okay, we are done. We are not going to look for any other defensive midfielders. But there was another midfielder as well. I think that another player that they were looking at was Cheikh Doucouré from Crystal Palace as well. I forgot to mention him earlier because he's a defensive midfielder. So they were also trying to look at the potential signing of Cheikh Doucouré. No official bids were made as of yet. There were just talks being ongoing between Crystal Palace and Liverpool, but no direct talks with the player or the player's agent as well. So no bids were made. There was just inquiries and talks ongoing in terms of the fees and in terms of the whole notion of bringing a new player in and trying to fit him into our system. So with Jurgen Klopp and the transfer committee mentioning that we are done signing defensive midfielders, I think it is highly unlikely we will go for someone like Sheikh Dukuri at this stage in time. But I feel like what I do feel that is Liverpool are looking at trying to get midfielders who can play like multiple roles, multiple positions, an all-round midfield player, more or less like a James Milner or a Wataru Endo, for instance, because he can play the defensive midfield, he can play as a centre back, he can play as a right back. So anytime you need a player of that characteristic or that attribute, I think those are the kind of players that Liverpool are currently looking at. Definitely interesting to see what's going to happen during the transfer window, but I do feel that we might sign a midfielder or we might not sign a midfielder, but let's see how it goes. But I hope so that our club doesn't do any panic buys and panic bids for players unnecessarily, and not splashing the cash too much for young players just because of how the transfer market is at the moment. With that being said, that is all in terms of transfer news. Then I will jump on to a small preview as to our Premier League matchup against Newcastle United away at St. James's Park on Sunday. The match is at 11:30 p.m. Hopefully all your Liverpool fans would be awake to watch that game. It will be a very, very interesting game as well. We won against Newcastle last season, both home and away. Home, it was a very nervy end to the game. Yes, Fabio Carvalho scored the winning goal in that game. Very surprised for me in person to actually watch that game and go, why are we playing against Newcastle like we are playing against Everton previously, winning at the last minute and stuff like that. Looking at the whole quality of players that we had, we struggled a lot in that game as well. But as we went to St. James's Park on the away end last season, we won well. We won comfortably well. Yes, there was a red card for Nick Pope for a handball that he did in outside of the penalty area. Yes, they were 10 men down, but we capitalized on the situation and then we scored. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3-1 or 3-0 the scoreline. So that was last season. This is the new season. Newcastle have Champions League football this season. We don't have. We have Europa League football, but we are still in Europe nonetheless. Very, very interesting matchup as well with Newcastle signing Sandro Tonali from AC Milan. He had a very good match in his debut. In his debut game, I think he had a very good performance. He scored a goal as well. And then Newcastle would win the match against Aston Villa 5-1. And then on the next matchup against, in the next match week against Manchester City, they lost 1-0. So they've got 3 points out of 6. Regardless of how the points have gone this season or just the first 4 games of the season, it will be a stern test for Liverpool to face Newcastle this season because, Sven Maximin has left Newcastle. Not a lot of players have left Newcastle, but then those players who have played there last season are still available there, like Callum Vinson, Alexander Isak, Joelinton. They've added to their ranks. They did have Bruno Guimaraes last season, was very, very good, pairing up with Almiron, Harvey Barnes. And, these guys are all proven league players in their own right. They have brought back European football for Newcastle, which is fair to them, good on them because I think it was high time that Newcastle, broke that whole glass ceiling as to, this is not our level, we need to be better than that. And I could be told Eddie Howe is doing a fantastic job with Newcastle as well. Definitely I am pissed as a Liverpool fan because I can't expect to see teams like Newcastle in the Champions League and, fighting, challenging Manchester City for the Premier League title. But these are kind of things that you need to take with a pinch of salt. So I will take it with a pinch of salt and I will move on. And, an interesting matchup against Newcastle United. So I will look into the head-to-head bet against Liverpool and Newcastle. So In terms of stats on head-to-heads, we have played 56 games against each other. We have 33 wins in totals against Newcastle. We have 11. At home, we have won 22 games. At home, they've won 10. And away, we have won 11 games. They have won only 1. And we have equally drawn 12 games against each other. So, if I'm not mistaken, I will try to correct myself. So, last season, we beat Newcastle 2-0 at St. James's Park. It was Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo. Yes. And on the other fixture, we were going to draw with Newcastle, and then we won against them 2-1. Fabio Carvalho scored the winning goal. So, with that being said, so this is the head-to-head. Definitely an interesting matchup. Definitely interesting to see what Klopp has in store in terms of team selection, because yes, we have signed Wataru Endo. Yes, he's a defensive midfielder, but will he be integrated into the squad straight away as a starting player, or will he be on the bench? That will be something very, very interesting for us to watch. Yes, we have played the 4-3-3 formation without a defensive midfielder. We have played with Soboslai, Alexis McAllister, and we have played with Cody Gakpo. So these three midfielders are the players that we used in our last 2 games. Very interesting to see whether if Jurgen Klopp would or would not utilize the same midfield 3 against Newcastle, looking at how big a threat Newcastle are. I have a feeling that Jurgen Klopp might integrate Endo into the first team. He might give him his first appearance in the defensive midfield position. So I'm expecting to see Trent, Robbo, Konate, Van Dijk, and then I would go Soboslai, McAllister, Endo. And then I would see at the top, which is also very, very interesting as well, because we have a whole host of attacking players. Luis Diaz, Salah, we have Jota, we have Gakpo as well, who can play in the false nine position, and we have Darwin Núñez as well. So it'll be very, very interesting to see, because in the last 2 games, Darwin Núñez has been benched. Definitely, eyebrows are raised as to why Darwin Núñez has not gotten a start. But I feel that Jurgen Klopp is trying to keep control of Darwin Núñez's fire. I think fire, if I can put it right, because I'm not going to put it in a negative way that Darwin Núñez is a very chaotic player, but he can get on the nerves of some of the opponent players, but his work rate is immense. He's a real willing runner. He can pressurize the ball. He's a monster in the pressing game. It takes time. It takes time for Núñez to actually understand what his role is within the system that we are playing in. He is not a false nine. That is the first thing. Most probably, Klopp might go with Gakpo in the center, maybe play as a center forward, make a false nine role. There will be also another opinion whereby Jota retains his position in the starting 11, playing in the front 3 with Luis Diaz and Mo Salah. So a lot of permutations, a lot of combinations that you can work around with. You can still put Darwin Núñez and you can still play him in the striker position, but the whole team has to understand that Darwin Núñez is an out-and-out striker and not a false nine per se. He's more of a target man. You need to provide him the assist. You need to provide him long passes, lob passes, driving, assisting him, trying to get him running from behind the defender. So those are a lot of things that Jurgen Klopp has to think about. He has to sit down and have a really good think on how is he going to rotate the squad, what kind of players fit the whole game, as to how it depends as well on how Newcastle approach the game as well. So a lot of things to be seen in this match. Definitely a very interesting matchup it will be. One to keep an eye on for Newcastle would be initially Rosales and Maximan, but I think this time around it would be, if I were to go with Tonali or Bruno Guimaraes, I think I would go with one to keep an eye on for Newcastle would be Bruno Guimaraes, because he is more of the deep-lying number 6 player who is dictating Newcastle's passing, and the whole movement of the team in terms of defense and in terms of attack. So him being in that pivot role in the number 6 position is absolutely crucial for Newcastle. And yes, with the addition of Sandro Tonali as well, I'm not taking anything away from him. He's a very talented player. But it'll be interesting to see how does he cope with the intensity of Liverpool's high press, Liverpool's counter-attacking play, on those counter-attacking positioning plays, how Sandro Tonali would thrive in that midfield with all the Newcastle players. So something to be very, very careful of, very, very wary of in terms of players like Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali. But for Liverpool, as far as I'm concerned, one player that we should keep an eye on would be, I don't want to put too much pressure on Trent. I don't want to keep targeting Trent as in, in his deficiencies in his defense. But one player that I would like to see perform well in this game, and I'll be keeping an eye on, would be Luis Diaz, because he has been very, very immense for the club in the last 2 games. He has been very, very involved, trying to get his head, trying to get to the ball first, getting all the long passes that are coming on from Trent, trying to create a lot of chances, trying to play passing games. I mean, a lot of passing that he does with Soboslai and McAllister and Robertson. So that is very, very interesting to see. Definitely, I'm looking at this and go, will he score in this game as well? So he is on a hot streak. Hopefully the streak continues. Hopefully he scores a goal in St. James's Park on Sunday night. So with that being said, we have almost come towards the end of our show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch my podcast. My podcast will be available here in YouTube, so you guys can go on and just press on the like button, like, share, and subscribe. You guys can also follow me on Spotify as well. I do upload my episodes over there. I don't upload audio podcasts, but I do upload my video podcast there, so you guys can view it there as well if you have Spotify installed in your phones on Android or on PT. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to my podcast. I will try my best to come up with the next episode. Hopefully, I will try to do a match preview for Liverpool versus Newcastle. I know I've done it in this episode. So hopefully, I would just do like a short recap, and then I will go for team selections and then see how the match goes. Thank you so much for your time. Hope to see you guys soon. You can follow me on Instagram as well. I would update it from time to time on the whole transfer news, injury news, team selections in terms of what's happening on the ins and outs of Liverpool. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening. This is Kopalta, a podcast show. I am your host. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you guys soon in the next episode. Can take care, you guys, and see you soon.